All right, so you're looking for a deep dive on meditations. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations.
That's right.
Get ready.
Yeah.
Because we are going to get into some seriously thought-provoking stuff.
Yeah.
This is not your typical dry philosophy like you might find in some dusty old textbook.
No.
This is more like raw and unfiltered look into the mind of a Roman emperor.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so fascinating. It was never meant for publication.
Oh, right.
It's his personal journal.
Wow.
Where he's grappling with these big issues of power and duty and, the search for meaning.
And all while running an empire?
All while running an empire, exactly.
It's kind of wild to imagine,
yeah.
like I was saying earlier, leading during a time of barbarian invasions.
Right.
And a pandemic.
A pandemic, yeah.
Talk about pressure.
Oh, yeah, huge pressure.
I mean, does that context, do you think, make his personal reflections even more intense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, the contrast between his outward life and his inner struggles is really striking. So here he is leading armies and making these huge life or death decisions.
Yeah.
And then in his journal, he's wrestling with these deep philosophical questions about virtue and death and, the nature of the universe.
It really makes you wonder if those internal struggles helped him lead more effectively.
Yeah.
Like, did grappling with these really big questions make him a better emperor?
I think it's certainly possible. Aurelius was a strong believer in Stoicism. And that's a philosophy that really emphasizes focusing on what you can control.
Right.
Your thoughts and your actions, and then accepting what you can't.
Yeah.
And I think that must have been just an incredibly valuable tool when facing the constant uncertainties of ruling an empire.
So how would that play out in real life? Like, how would that stoic mindset?
Yeah.
If you were really, say you're dealing with a political rival who's constantly undermining you.
Right. Well, instead of getting caught up in anger or resentment, a stoic approach would be to recognize that you can't control the rival's actions, but you can control your own response.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So you might focus on acting with integrity and justice and reason.
Regardless of the other person.
Regardless of how the other person is behaving.
It's like rising above the drama.
Yeah.
Focusing on your own principles.
Oh, exactly.
That's a powerful idea.
Yeah.
But easier said than done right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Aurelius himself, he wasn't perfect.
Oh, right.
In Meditations, we see him constantly reminding himself of these stoic principles.
Oh, wow.
Almost like he's battling his own human impulses.
It's surprisingly relatable.
It is very relatable. It's not like some polished philosophical treatise.
Right.
It's a guy working through these ideas in the midst of all this chaos.
That's what makes it feel so real and honest, right?
Exactly.
It's a man, working through it.
Yeah.
And one of the things he grapples with is this tension between his ideals and the reality of his co-ruler, his adopted son, Lucius Verus.
Lucius Verus. Yeah.
Now, Verus was known for his extravagance. And
yes, his, shall we say, questionable choices.
So that must have been a real source of inner conflict.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Like, how can you reconcile your stoic values with the actions of someone you're supposed to be sharing power with?
It's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
And, we see glimpses of this struggle in Meditations. I think there's a sense that he's really trying to understand Verus.
Okay.
And maybe even, find some compassion for him.
Yeah.
Despite their very different approaches to life.
It makes me think about those moments when we judge others without really fully understanding their motivations.
Right.
Like Aurelius, even as emperors, had to confront that challenge.
He did.
It makes him seem more human. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. It reminds us that even those in positions of power, they wrestle with the same human dilemmas that we all do.
And speaking of influences,
yes,
Aurelius wasn't just born a stoic sage, right? He had mentors who really shaped his thinking.
Right.
And one of those was his adoptive father.
Yes.
Antoninus Pius, who was known for his just rule.
He was.
It seems like Aurelius really admired him.
He did. He really admired him.
Yeah.
Pius seems to have embodied the kind of leader that Aurelius aspired to be.
Like a role model.
Yeah, a role model, just compassionate and guided by reason. It's almost like he provided a living example of Stoicism in action.
And then there's his rhetoric teacher, Fronto.
Fronto.
Now, Fronto was a different kind of influence.
So this is a different kind of influence. Yeah. Yeah.
Much different.
Yeah. While Fronto clearly respected Aurelius, you can see in his letters that he had a slightly more cynical side.
Really?
Yeah. He encouraged Aurelius to be more honest and straightforward.
Interesting.
In his dealings, almost like he was kind of cautioning him against the temptations of power.
Like, hey, I know you're striving to be virtuous.
Yeah, don't lose sight of reality here.
But don't lose sight of the realities of power.
Exactly.
That's a pretty nuanced perspective for a teacher to offer a future emperor.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And it highlights an important point about meditations.
Okay, what's that?
Aurelius wasn't writing this for posterity. He was grappling with his own doubts and his own fears.
Right.
These weren't like grand pronouncements. This was like intimate reflections.
Personal.
Very personal on how to live a good life amidst all of this pressure.
So what's the biggest takeaway for someone reading Meditations today? I mean, this was written almost 2,000 years ago.
I know.
What makes it relevant to our lives now?
That's what's so incredible about it. I mean, it's timeless.
Right.
While the context is ancient Rome, the core message, I think, resonates so deeply with a lot of the challenges we face in the modern world.
Like what?
Like, it's about finding inner peace and purpose, even when the world around you feels chaotic, you know?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's like he's offering us this roadmap for navigating our own anxieties and uncertainties.
Exactly.
You know, even if we're not ruling an empire.
Exactly. And what's so fascinating is that he doesn't pretend to have all the answers.
Oh, really?
Meditations is really more about the process of grappling with these big questions.
Yeah.
You know, this constant striving to live up to his ideals.
So it's not just about the destination.
Right.
It's about the journey.
Precisely.
And that journey is filled with these amazing insights that we can apply to our own lives.
For sure.
Like, for example, he often reflects on the importance of perspective.
Right.
Like in one passage, he writes, think of yourself as a little soul carrying a corpse.
Wow. That's intense.
Right.
What do you think he means by that?
Yeah, what's he getting at there?
I think he's reminding himself and us about just how fragile life really is.
Right.
It's a call to focus on what truly matters. You know, to not get caught up in these trivial concerns when our time on Earth is so limited.
It's a powerful reminder to prioritize our values and make the most of each day.
Exactly. And, you know, he doesn't shy away from talking about the challenges of human nature either.
What do you mean?
Well, he talks about, you know, encountering all these difficult people.
Yeah.
He says the busybody, the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial.
It's like he's saying, hey, these are the people you're going to meet in life, so be prepared.
Exactly. He's giving us a heads up.
It's so relatable.
I know.
It's like he's giving us a heads up about all those difficult personalities we all encounter.
Oh, yeah, we've all met these people.
The office gossip or the friend who's always complaining.
Exactly.
And what's his advice?
Well, his advice is don't let their behavior control your emotions.
Okay.
You know, choose to respond with reason and with virtue.
Don't get dragged down.
Don't get dragged down by all that negativity.
Right. It's a reminder that we always have a choice in how we react to challenging people and situations.
Yeah.
We can either let them control us or we can choose to rise above.
And that's a key element, I think, of Stoicism.
What's that?
It's that focus on what we can control.
Oh.
Recognizing that while we can't always change external circumstances, we can choose how we respond internally.
We were talking earlier about Aurelius's relationship with his co-emperor Verus.
Right.
Did his reflections on Verus offer any insights into how he handled that dynamic?
They do. There's a sense of compassion in Aurelius's writings about Verus.
Really?
Yeah, despite their differences, you know.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he even suggests that those who seem to live carelessly are often burdened by their own fears and anxieties.
That's the reminder that we shouldn't judge others too harshly.
Right.
Yeah, we never really know what's going on beneath the surface.
Exactly, and that's such a valuable lesson for us today.
Right.
In a world where it's so easy to make those snap judgments.
Social media, yeah,
just based on appearances.
And we also mentioned his rhetoric teacher, Fronto.
Right.
Did Meditations offer any further insights into their relationship?
Interestingly, Fronto is only mentioned once.
Oh, wow.
But it's a very loaded statement.
What's that?
He says, Fronto taught me to observe what envy and deceit and hypocrisy is in a tyrant's court.
That's a pretty heavy lesson.
It is.
What do you make of that?
I think it suggests that Fronto, while supportive of Aurelius, also provided him with a dose of realism.
Oh.
Like he was cautioning Aurelius about the darker side of power.
Okay.
The potential for corruption and manipulation that exists in any court.
Or political system.
Or political system, exactly.
It's like he was saying, hey, stay true to your ideals, but don't be naive about the challenges you'll face?
Exactly. And maybe that's why meditations feel so grounded.
How so?
It's not just about these lofty ideals, It's about really wrestling with the complexities of human nature and the realities of power.
It's making me think about all the leaders today. Who could really benefit from a dose of Aurelius's wisdom?
Yeah.
This idea of leading with virtue and reason,
Right.
and focusing on the common good.
Yeah.
It feels like such a much-needed antidote
I agree.
to all the cynicism and self-interest that we see in modern politics.
It's certainly a model worth reflecting on.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the enduring relevance of meditations.
Yeah.
While the context may be ancient Rome, the core questions that Aurelius grapples with, how to live a good life, how to lead with integrity, how to find meaning amidst all the chaos. Those are questions that resonate with us across the centuries.
So you're saying meditations isn't just a historical artifact.
No.
It's a guide for living a more fulfilling and meaningful life, even today.
Absolutely. It's a text that encourages us to look inward, to examine our own values and our own motivations, and to really strive to live a life that aligns with our deepest principles.
It's a call to action disguised as a personal journal.
I like that.
So what are some of the specific nuggets of wisdom that listeners can take away from meditations and apply to their own lives?
Well, I think one of the most powerful takeaways is this idea of focusing on what we can control. As we discussed, Aurelius constantly reminds himself to let go of things outside of his control.
Like what?
Like other people's actions or unforeseen events,
That's such a relevant message for our time, isn't it?
It is.
Like the world feels increasingly chaotic and unpredictable.
Yeah.
And it's liberating to remember that we have a choice in how we respond.
We do.
Even when things feel totally out of our control.
Exactly. And that sense of agency can be incredibly empowering.
And another key insight
Yeah.
is this idea of the interconnectedness of all things.
Yes.
Aurelius really emphasizes that we're all part of this larger web of relationships.
Yeah.
A cosmic order.
A cosmic order, yeah.
That connects us to each other.
And
to the universe.
It's a perspective that encourages us to see beyond our own individual concerns. Right.
And recognize our shared humanity.
We're all in this together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that recognition can also foster a sense of responsibility towards others.
Oh.
It reminds us to act with compassion and understanding.
Even towards
those who may seem different from us.
It's like a call to cultivate empathy and connection.
Yes.
In a world that often feels very divided.
Precisely. And finally, meditations emphasizes the importance of living in accordance with nature.
Oh, this does that mean?
Well, for Aurelius, it meant living a life guided by reason and virtue and a deep understanding of our place in the grand scheme of things.
So it's about finding harmony between our individual lives and the natural order of the universe.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we are part of something larger than ourselves.
Right.
And striving to live in a way that aligns with that understanding.
It makes me think about how often we get so caught up in the pursuit of external validation.
Right.
Like on social media, likes, career, achievement, material possessions, all that.
Would Aurelius see that as a distraction from living in accordance with nature?
That's a fascinating question. I think he might argue that those external pursuits can pull us away from our true nature.
Right.
From the things that truly matter.
And what are those?
Things like virtue and connection and inner peace.
It's like he's offering an alternative
to
this constant striving and comparing that so many of us experience today.
He's reminding us that true fulfillment comes from within, from living a life that aligns with our values and our purpose.
Well, that's a powerful message.
It is.
And one that feels incredibly relevant in our fast-paced, hyper-connected world.
Yeah, a call to slow down, to reflect, and to reconnect with what truly matters.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what Aurelius would have to say.
I know, right?
About our modern obsession with productivity and achievement. Would he see it as a form of striving?
Yeah.
That actually takes us further away from inner peace.
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
I think he might challenge us to re-examine our very definition of success.
Oh.
Instead of measuring our worth by these external achievements, maybe he'd encourage us to focus more on cultivating these inner qualities.
Like what?
Things like wisdom and virtue and compassion.
So it's like shifting our focus
Yeah.
from what we do
Right.
to who we are.
Exactly. And that's a pretty radical idea
Yeah.
in a society that often values doing over being.
We've been talking about meditations as this profound work of philosophy.
Right.
But it wasn't intended for an audience.
It wasn't. No.
Right.
No, it's more like a collection of personal notes and reflections.
Oh, wow.
Written during military campaigns or late at night.
Mm-hmm.
There's this rawness and this immediacy to it that makes it all the more compelling.
Imagine if your personal journal suddenly became a philosophical classic.
I know, right?
It's like you accidentally leave your diary on the subway.
Right.
And it ends up being studied by scholars for centuries.
It's like we're eavesdropping on his inner dialogue.
Wow.
Witnessing his struggles and his triumphs as he tries to apply these Stoic principles to his own life.
It really humanizes him.
It does.
In a way that formal philosophical treatises often don't.
Right.
Like we see him not as this perfect sage.
No.
But as a man.
A real person.
Wrestling with his own imperfections.
Yeah.
And trying to live up to these ideals.
And that's, I think, what makes meditation so relatable.
Right.
It's not about achieving some unattainable state of perfection.
Right.
It's about that ongoing process of self-improvement.
Yeah.
Striving to be just a little bit better each day.
We've talked about the Stoic side of Aurelius.
Right.
But he wasn't just some detached philosopher king.
Oh, he wasn't.
He also had this deep capacity for love and affection.
He did.
Especially for his children.
Especially for his children. You can see that in his letters to Fronto.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they reveal a much more tender and caring side of him.
Like what?
Well, he worries about his children's health. He shares little anecdotes about their lives. And he expresses, really deep affection for them.
It's a nice reminder that even the most serious and philosophical among us can be deeply moved by love and family bonds.
Absolutely. It brings balance to that image of Aurelius as this Stoic emperor.
Right.
He was also a human being.
With feelings.
With a heart full of love and concern for those close to him.
So how do you think Aurelius and meditations fit into this broader conversation about philosophy and its relevance to our lives today?
I think Aurelius offers this really timeless reminder that the pursuit of wisdom and a virtuous life is a continuous journey. It's not about finding all the answers.
Right.
It's about really engaging in that process of self-reflection. And striving to align our actions with our values.
And isn't that even more relevant now?
I think so.
Than ever.
Yeah.
In a world that's constantly changing.
Right.
And challenging our assumptions.
We're facing some unprecedented challenges these days.
Like what?
Well, technological disruption, social divisions, environmental concerns, navigating all of this ethically and effectively.
It's hard.
It's really hard. It requires clarity and compassion and a strong sense of inner purpose.
And Aurelius, with his emphasis on reason and self-control and the common good, offers a really powerful model for how to approach these challenges.
I think so, too.
It's like he's whispering wisdom from across the centuries.
I love that.
Reminding us of what it means to live a meaningful and fulfilling life.
Yeah.
Even amidst uncertainty and chaos.
And on that note, I want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Marcus Aurelius and meditations.
It's been a really incredible journey.
It has.
Exploring the mind of this emperor-philosopher.
Yeah.
We hope you found something to ponder.
Something to inspire you.
Something to take with you.
Yeah.
As you navigate the complexities of your own life.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
Yes.
May you find wisdom, courage, and a bit of stoic calm amidst the chaos of the world.